Hey everyone, this is Carla Black coming to you from Austin, Texas with another episode of Highly Unorthodox. Today I'm speaking to Sabine Steyer-Violet, and she had everything to do with the music and much more. So let's jump in and meet Sabine. You grew up in Berlin?
No, I grew up in Hamburg, which is in the north.
Oh, okay. How far is that?
And not far at all. You know, from Hamburg to Berlin, it's just like 1.5 hours with the train. So it feels for you like what? But it's the same city, isn't it?
San Antonio from Austin is about as close. Yeah. How did you get into film?
Like 20 years ago, I I always wanted to work in the film industry, and I studied visual communication at art school in the north of Germany with Wim Wenders, for instance, and also super nice documentary filmmaker, like a guy from the 70s hippie community. So it was a kind of a good combination. So I studied with them, and then meanwhile I was always working on film sets as set runner or whatever, video operator, and cooking like coffee for everybody, and just learning on set. After that, I worked as a production manager for National Geographic and Discovery Channel, and then I made portraits about musicians, and then I found my way to the fiction world.
So what were the documentaries about?
I made a documentary in the US about a beauty pageant, women in the age of 58. And they had to be at least 58, but most of them were like 70, 75 years old. And they came from all over the US to this pageant. It was in the south of Boston. It took place like once a year in the south of Boston, and they were supposed to not like walking in a bikini there. They had to do something like dance or sing or any kind of performance, and then there was a judge, and then there was a Miss Senior Sweetheart, and I made a documentary about that.
That sounds fun. So
Yeah.
what's your favorite part of filmmaking? I mean, you obviously do music supervision. As far as everybody's concerned, that is like the dream gig. So is that your favorite part, or are there sections of filmmaking that are your favorites?
Well, I work as a writer and producer and as a music supervisor. And right now, I would say my favorite part is writing and script development together with other people. I mean, I don't always have to write it myself. I love the script development part.
Did you have any part of the script development for Unorthodox?
I worked with Anna and Alexa on their scripts, so I didn't write them myself. Anna, Alexa did it, and also Daniel Handler, our story editor. But I was always checking with them, discussing the scenes, talking about the dramaturgy, if the story art works, if the character works, and so on and so on. So I was deeply involved in the story development, yeah.
So tell me about selections for the music, because there's such an incredible array of music in this series that seems like it would be quite disparate in addition to the 3 languages spoken.
Yeah, there's so many layers of music. There is the score and the source music and the live on camera music. The score is what the composer writes. And the source is like the source music, which comes from a source, like for instance, the music in the background of a bar, the music in the background of a cafe, in a car radio, stuff like this. It's like source music, and the other thing is the score. In Unorthodox, we had score, source, and live on camera. Live on camera, for instance, was the choir in the church and the orchestra, of course. She was audition. And of course, the catnap scene in the club. Catnap is the name of the artist.
Right, which is just, I mean, really, when you think about it, when you have all of those things going on, plus the song that she sang in her audition, plus the piano piece, there's so many different things going on musically in this.
Yeah, it was exciting actually. And we started with a very careful spotting, like where we wanted music, because our goal was always to keep the score music on a reduced level, like to keep it on a minimum level. Like Antonio Gambale was the name of the composer. First of all, we did a pitch to find the right composer. Then we found Antonio.
So you want to tell me how he got involved, how you found him?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, we did this spotting with Antonio, and then we had the goal to find a score which like drives the story forward without overtaking the development of the character. So it was always kind of reduced, but on point, if you know what I mean. So it was like avoiding any kind of cliche. And also we decided to work with solo instruments, because it fit better to the intimacy of the whole story. Like solo instrument, like a piano, a cello, a violin, instead of a whole ensemble. There was so much fragility, so much intimacy in the whole story. It was so sensitive that a whole ensemble would have overpowered the scene, or overtaken the characters. So the solo instruments worked better, and Antonio wrote 3 themes. Like there is a theme for Esther, there's a theme for Janky, and a theme for Moishe. And we adjusted these themes over the 4 episodes. It's always a combination of, for instance, Esther's theme is the one you hear in the Wannsee. When she walks in the water, takes off her wig, that's an Esther's theme. But it's also Esther's theme when she walks under or towards the Brandenburger Gate at the very end. It's all part of Esther's theme, but it's a little variation of it.
Right.
It works the same with the Janky theme and the Moishe theme. And this working with themes worked very well. We were eager to find someone who was fresh.
Right.
Kind of. So we did a pitch, and we sent it out. I choose about 10 composers from all over Europe. I think 10, maybe 8, I don't know the number. 10 composers from all over Europe, and we sent it out a pitch paper, meaning we sent it all of them 3 scenes. It was the escaping from New York scene, the Wannsee scene where Esther goes into Wannsee and taking off her wig, and the 3rd scene was after she plays piano in the student dorm, and Yael tells her, "Sorry, you're not good enough." And she's like walking on the streets of Berlin, very desperate. So we sent it out to 3 descriptions for the scenes to these composers, and they all pitched us something. And it was like, I knew the composers because I chose them, but Anna, Alexa, Maria, like our creators and our director, they didn't knew anything about them. It was like neutral. So they're just listening to the music. So they pitched, and Anna, Alexa, and Maria were listening to the music, just to the music. So it wasn't like, oh, this composer is very fancy or famous, or he won like 10 awards already. It was just, they were listening to the music and just made their choice just because of the music. And Antonio's music was the best. That's why we chose him.
So the music scene in Berlin. I did find it interesting that you did choose techno, which is for Catnap, which I know is very, very popular now, but I think there's a little bit of a sense that if you go to Germany, all you're going to hear is techno. You say that's not the case.
No, it's not the case. It's not the case. I know everybody thinks that.
And it's EDM now. It's not techno anymore. Sorry.
Whatever. I don't know if it's EDM, techno, electro, whatever. But there's so much more. I mean, there's also very cool techno, of course, but it's not. I mean, also techno is like a whole world. So, but Berlin has a really, really exciting music scene. There's so many super great, unknown, independent artists. And Catnap, for instance, she's not hopefully now she is, but she wasn't a big deal. She's not a big star in Berlin. but she's so talented, and we wanted a female artist in the club, and
Right.
so her music was just the perfect music for the club.
And it is very interesting because the entire series, you don't really even have to know that it was written by a woman, that the scripts were written by women, that the director was a woman. I mean, you could just feel the estrogen coursing through those 4 episodes.
Yes. Such a female task out there.
The fact that this is about a woman who comes from a group of Holocaust survivors and filming a Satmar wedding in Berlin really messes with my mind.
I totally understand that.
Because there's such a Holocaust theme to the show. And of course, the scene when she goes into the lake and, you know, one of the cast members, I forget exactly who, says, this is where the decision was made to kill all the Jews.
Robert.
And then you're filming a Satmar wedding in Berlin. Was that odd for you in any kind of way? Because it messes with my mind.
It messed with our mind too. It was very strange. We filmed it in the north of Berlin, and suddenly the whole street was full with ultra-Orthodox people in an area where there is absolutely none of, I mean, it's more like who's living there. It's like a working class area, I think, and there are no ultra-Orthodox people at all. It was super strange. Super strange. And I think the wedding hall where we filmed this is sometimes really used as a wedding hall, but more for Turkish and Arab weddings. Mm-hmm. So it's very strange. I totally understand that it's flipping around your head.
Well, and then even the students in Berlin, you've got the Israeli, mm-hmm. actually represented Israelis pretty accurately, in my opinion.
Yeah, so is it? I don't know.
And then you have, you know, then you have a gay couple, and you have such exposure that Esther, of course, had never been exposed to. Also, you know, it just seems like it was just the most interesting possible mix of things going on while you were filming. You know, so I'm not sure that's a question, but just, I mean, was that strange for you?
No, it wasn't strange. It's like, I feel like that's how Berlin is. Like, there are people from all over the world, and there's a music academy in Berlin. It's called the Barenboim Said Academy. So the Barenboim Said Academy was kind of our role model for our music academy. And the Barenboim Said is focused on people from Israel and Palestine and like all over these, how you call it, like Eastern Europe, North African countries. So
yeah, Middle East.
Yeah, thanks. Middle East, sorry. Middle East countries. It's like, it's nothing we invented. It's nothing which is not out there. There's a role model for it. And so, I mean, of course, gay couples and stuff, it's all Berlin.
Tell me about your company, Super Tape.
Super Tape, yeah, I founded Super Tape 8 or 9 years ago together with my business partner, Melissa Perales. Because when I was a student, I worked as a DJ, but I just did it to get some extra money to pay my beers at the weekend. So, but meaning I was always into music, but I worked in the film industry, and Melissa, my Super Tape partner, has always worked in the music industry. So we both were like the perfect combination from music and film, and she's a superhero here in Berlin in the independent music scene. She knows all the artists, and she's a programmer for some events like
that's great.
And she also has a music festival running, and yeah, she's great. She knows everything about the music scene, and so much more than she's much deeper in the music scene than I am.
I wanted to talk to you about Bad Banks because I just started watching it, and I noticed a very familiar face that wasn't very familiar because there was no beard.
No beard and
hair. but you know, I noticed the eyes.
Okay.
So our good friend Jeff Wilbush, who played Moishe,
Yeah.
have you worked with him in other capacities? Did you have much interaction with him on Bad Banks?
No, not at all. Because on Bad Banks, I was just a music supervisor, meaning I jumped in later. I jumped in when Bad Banks was in post-production already. They had some kind of a rough cut, I think. So I didn't meet Jeff at the time. With Unorthodox, I worked as creative producer and music supervisor. So I started with the script development all the way till we finished the color grading. So of course I met Jeff. But no, on Bad Banks, our paths didn't cross. So.
Were some of the songs already part of the script, or were they?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Some of them were already part of the script. For instance, of course, the audition songs, because it's like part of the script development that we talked about the wedding scenes and the music for the wedding. And when we talked about the music for the wedding, we also made the choice that we take the song Bon Siach. I always say it wrong, I think. Bon Siach. From the wedding scene to the audition scene, for instance.
Okay.
So it was part of the script, and also the An die Musik von Schubert, the one Bobby, Esther's grandma, is listening to, was also part of the script.
And that wasn't the only Schubert. There was more Schubert.
There were two Schuberts. There's An die Musik, the one Elisabeth Schwarzkopf sings, the one Bobby's listening to, and then there's also a Schubert song. That's the song Shira, Esty, whatever, Shira Esty.
I think we know.
Well, she's a star now. So. The one Esty is playing at the piano in the student drum. Yeah. So two Schuberts, and there is a Dvorak piece. The student orchestra plays was also part of the script already. So yeah, was all written in.
What's the licensing process like?
The licensing process is like Netflix wants to have it in perpetuity for the whole universe forever and ever. This is like all media and forever. And
for that you get $5.50 or 4 marks or euros.
This is like the licensing deal you have to do. So,
but no, I meant more the licensing for the music, for getting clearance and things like that. I mean, obviously you said you were using library music for the radio and things like that, but when you're using somebody like, you know, I mean, obviously you didn't need to get the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or something to sign off on, you know, Under My Thumb or I Want to Hold Your Hand, something. but that's a process I don't think a lot of people are aware of, that you have to get permission to use the songs, and there's kind of an ordeal. You've got to go through a whole chain to be able to use songs in films too.
Yeah, and it's kind of a really, really terrible work, I have to say. You have to be really patient, and really it's so much work to clear the rights, because sometimes there are like 5, 6 right holders, and then you have to find whatever the grandchildren of the original composer, and so
Schubert's great-great-grandchild.
Exactly. So it goes back to whenever I have to say I was very happy, because in Unorthodox I didn't do it myself. I had help from Regina Reis from BMG Management. But for instance, on Bad Banks, I did the whole licensing clearing myself, and it was just terrible. It took ages. I mean, hours, days.
Right. I'm sure.
Because it's not only finding the right holders, it's also dealing, because the budget is low. So you have to deal and convince everybody, please jump in. It's really a great show.
Well, thank you so much. It's so wonderful talking to you. So lovely.
Thanks, Carla.
Highly Unorthodox is brought to you by our sponsors, Creative by Carla and Texas Hill Country Homes. To find out more about this show and subscribe, please click below, and we will see you next time on Highly Unorthodox.